Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni, the great Malabite. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai.
Morning.
You did not add international star. That's what you said.
It's true now.
Yes,
you have gone international.
Yes, that's how we roll. We'll start the review with this day Nigeria's newspaper of record. We'll start with the story above the masthead. In groundbreaking move, Arise goes live in South Africa, 9 additional countries. Television station now in 54 African countries. Well, it's a matter of progression. If you walked long enough with Prince Nduka Obagbena, you'll know that there is always a next level when it comes to progress. And with these new additional 9 countries, Arise News is now in 54 African countries. Of course, that has always been the mission, the goal, to be Africa's foremost international broadcaster. And viewers across the world enjoy Arise News 24/7 every day. And taking the African perspective to the international marketplace, reporting Africa to the world and the world to Africa, reflecting the African perspective at the global media space, the mission of the This Day Arise Media Group. So we'll say congratulations to Prince Nduka Obagbena and all of us, Ruben, Rufai, Ayo, and all the crew who are behind the scene. We are doing great things, taking bold steps forward, many frontiers to conquer man. I'll leave it at that for now. Now, we look at the lead story. EFCC declares Yahaya Bello wanted as AGF warns fugitive ex-governor. Agency tells court it may engage military to effect his arrest. Fagbemi says obstructing justice not allowed. Police withdraw security, immigration send signal, put him on watch list. Well, I think all this drama can be avoided. Yahaya Bello, the immediate past governor of Kogi State, flamboyant governor, one won't believe that he will be playing the fugitive when he's been asked to come and have a chat with the EFCC. People should be able to stand for what they have done. Go there and prove your innocence. Nobody is declaring you guilty, and you have your day in court, as the EFCC has already started that process. So I think those who know Yahaya Bello, who love him, should just advise him to do the needful. Present himself before the EFCC, and his lawyers will do the rest in defending him in the court of law. That is how it goes. He's innocent until proven guilty. Perhaps he doesn't understand that. But when you start running away, looking for a way to hide, looking for your surrogate, who is the current governor, to come and use his immunity to give you shield and cover, you are not helping yourself, you are not helping your image, if you still have some. Now, other newspapers are reporting this story. Of course, the Punch newspaper, 80 billion naira money laundering. Federal government places Yahaya Bello on watch list, immigration alerts DSS. Federal government's order border surveillance asks DSS, NIA, police to prevent ex-governor's escape. EFCC should obey court order restraining ex-governor's arrest. Bello's lawyers insist. Yes, Yahaya Bello obtained an ex parte order preventing to stop the EFCC from arresting or prosecuting him. But that ex parte order lapsed before the EFCC stepped in. So what is it talking about? Now, we'll look at other newspapers. The Guardian newspaper, Borno residents on edge, tiptoeing on active landmines, IEDs. Yes, the consequence of years of fighting the Boko Haram, who became specialists in IEDs. Between 2016 and February 2023, 468 people were injured, including 1,478 civilians, 1,490, including 842 civilians, were killed as a result of explosive ordinances. So, parts of Borno, yes, landmines all over the place, IEDs. I hope the government will put all measures in place to demine that area so that the citizens living in that space can be safe. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, Tinubu government hasn't borrowed from CBN, says Edu ways and means to be pinned down to deal with liquidity. Adds fiscal and monetary authorities complementing each other to bring inflation down. Discloses government will borrow less and focus more on domestic resource mobilization. Yes, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy giving an update on what this government is doing. Ways and means not to be abused. Wale Edun has stated. Now, the Daily Independent newspaper, relief for embattled Damagun as Wike camp trounces Atiku. That is how the Daily Independent newspaper is reporting the outcome of the PDP NEC meeting yesterday. Party to resolve leadership tussle in August, September. Damagun explains why he survived coup d'etat. BOT says litigations impeding solutions to leadership crisis. PDP asks Tinubu to rejig economic team to reposition the economy. While the Daily Trust newspaper is reporting prices of paddy drop in states, talking of paddy rice. Now, foreign rice too in Kano, local products still costly. Yes, some drop in prices of essential commodity, the Daily Trust is reporting, while the Business Day newspaper is reporting agege bread to noodles. High wheat import hurts Naira jobs. Now, this is a very interesting story. Some years ago, several years ago, as Business Day puts it, Nigeria and Ethiopia were two African countries identified as long-term markets for imported wheat. But Ethiopia did something. They have since left that, in that they invested and they are now producing their own wheat. Nigeria made some attempt, but like many things, Nigeria. Persons collected money. Remember the wheat program. People collected money to boost wheat production. But we know better. Today, we are still heavily dependent on imported wheat. And when there is war in places like Ukraine, of course, it affects Nigeria bread price. That's the story. If we look at the foreign newspapers quickly, let's start with the Times of London. Sunak vows crackdown on culture of sick notes. Yes, many GPs will lose power to sign people off over fears. Worklessness is damaging the economy. You get your sick leave, sick paper from your GP, and you stay at home, collect benefit, and don't go to work. The Prime Minister is saying that has to end, and that is what they will be pursuing. Other foreign newspapers quickly. Well, if the main news supposed to be in the foreign newspaper is, of course, the Israeli attack on Iran. But if you check the newspapers, of course, none of the foreign newspapers have that story right now because that happened very early today. But because you had to look at Jerusalem Post, I even checked Jerusalem Post, Iranian Times, if you can put it up there, they don't even have that story. But Israel has carried out its own attack on Iran, and there were 3 explosions near a military base in Isfahan in central Iran. That Israel can reach anywhere in Iran is not the surprise news. What
they've always reached places in Iran, so I'm thinking
so
about
the real surprise.
In fact, they will always even attack nuclear sites.
Yeah, so the real surprise really is that Iran had the capacity to reach everywhere in Israel, including strategic military sites I think that's a real surprise. But this attack did not touch Iran's nuclear facilities. And the International Atomic Energy Agency has confirmed that there's no damage to Iran's plants in this regard. How significant is this attack? Well, in Iran, it's been played down as they shot down some drones here and there, a few explosions here and there. Will that warrant a counterattack? And we see this a round of attacks and counterattacks. Maybe not. Israel too had to be measured in its response because there's been this pressure on Israel not to escalate the situation so that we don't have a wider war that will engulf the Middle East and perhaps the rest of the world. Ruben, Rufai, Ayo.
Okay, well, two things. Look, about Arise News. I think the additional point to be made is about how this reminds us of the focus here on this platform on telling the African story to the world. Now, one of these subjects, when we study global media systems, is the imbalance, hitherto, in the New World Information Order. But in the age of convergence, you now find that, otherwise marginalized, decentered media systems within the global media space can now speak directly to the world. And I think that the more important thing is that, with the presence expanded across 54, the 54 African states, nations, then of course the capacity to address the imbalance, is there. But as I said earlier on, this will have a lot of implications in terms of resources, in terms of standards, and also at a personal level in terms of professionalism. True. Because when you compete in the global space, you must rise above, the provincial, habit, both in terms of presentation and outlook. So, but good development, but to sustain it also is also very important. Now, as for Israel and Iran, well, I don't think we should join downplaying it. We don't know what is coming next. We don't know what is coming next. I mean, the logic of war, it depends on how states, defend their own sovereignty, and nobody can determine for any state. And that was why, despite every effort to restrain Israel, at the end of the day, even the allies had to say, well, it looks like Israel will go ahead, but we just hope that the scope of the response will not be much. Have you not noticed that when the Iranians, on April 13, sent out over 300 missiles, the missiles, maybe only one, even entered Israeli territory. The Iranians have put up their defense missiles, but US, they could not stop the Israeli attack from getting writing. So there's a game, in this international arena that is about, muscle flexing, I'm bigger than you. But what we should fear is what will come next. To think that Iran will fold his arms and say the response was minimal, I don't think we should be that optimistic.
Okay, so for me, when you check the antecedents and the historical perspective of war, what caused the First World War? Certain nationalist shot Archduke Ferdinand.
One shot,
and it started the First World War. Yeah, and somebody will have not even read any meaning to the likes of Gavrilo Princip's shot then while Archduke Ferdinand was passing by. Second World War, proliferation of Nazi movement out of Hitler, which was after the Heidenbergs of this world, left Germany. Also, relation with the stock market crash in America led to the Second World War. One thing has to be said. Yes, both parties are aggressors in this. But we cannot also forget the effort at peace in the Middle East. It's not the way it used to be before. Okay, I understand we need to go.
Yeah, we need
to go.
So I'm so sorry to cut you off midstream, but we need to go out of time.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel Efeni.